This is an overview of the FB Radom VIS-100 M1 pistol. This was bought in Canada from Tactical Imports, although it is the last shipment that may ever come to Canada because of the handgun ban. These are still being imported into the US as far as I know, but they are all sold out according to Arms of America website, who is the importer. So, if you want to pick one up, you can go over to their website, keep an eye out, see when they restock, if they restock. But this has already been opened and slightly modified, so this is more of an overview, not a straight up unboxing. So, we'll get to the stuff that I have changed in a bit, but what you get in the box is these plastic pistol grips, which what comes on the pistol is the slim, and you get extra thick grips if you want. These are honestly a pain in the ass to install because you have to depress the trigger and the mag release, which is quite tricky for people with only two hands. You also get some extra fiber optic sights, red and green. You get a bore brush and a unjamming rod. And, of course, you get the pistol itself. So I'll put the box away for a second. Alright, now you're going to notice some cuts because I forgot to mention some things, so I will just redo this section. So, first of all, I've put a Vortex Venom on here. I will get to the other optics you can and cannot put on. I've also put a Blackhawk Omnivore holster system, which I will get to later. But as far as the pistol goes, magazine, first of all, I guess show clear. Magazines are 10 rounds in Canada, 15 in the US, all metal construction, plastic base plate, plastic follower. They, like I said, 15 rounds in the US. They're supposed to come with a +2 base plate, at least in Canada, but the manufacturer didn't send those for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on with that, but in Canada it wouldn't add rounds anyway, it's just for visual and grabbing. But in the US you should be able to get a +2 base plate to make it 17 rounds. Now, everything on this pistol is ambidextrous. Got ambidextrous mag release, both sides, ambidextrous slide release, and ambidextrous decocker on both. Now, as you might suspect, for a pistol with a decocker, it is at least a single action. There's also a double action. It is a smooth but heavy double action trigger pull. If I had to, I don't have the tools to measure it, but if I had to guess, it's probably between 6 and 8 pounds, something like that. On single action, you may or may not like this. I'm mixed on it so far. It has a rather long take up for a single action, but once you get to the single action, the break is short and very crisp. It is an excellent break. Now, the reset is where I think people may not like it. It is quite long. You have to go all the way out to here before you can bring it back again. It's not great, but the break is very crisp. So, we'll see. I haven't shot it yet, but I personally really like the trigger. Now, 9mm, as I may or may not have said earlier. One thing to note with this pistol, you cannot push the slide back in order to drop the slide. For whatever reason, either, I don't know if it's the military and civilian model or just the civilian model, whatever it is, they didn't deem it necessary to pull back to release the slide. You have to use the ambidextrous slide release to let the slide go forward. It is what it is. So give me a second and I will grab the holster and talk about the sights. So first of all, holster, you can get the one with the light attachment to the bottom of the handgun, or you can get the one that just uses that little plastic piece. And it fits in. It's a bit of a thing to get it when it's not on your hip, but once it's in, trigger is fully covered, place for the optic. Overall, pretty good. I would recommend the extended latch just to get it out, but overall, works pretty well. So, aside from that, the other thing is the optic. Now, I had a cheap Bushnell RXS-100 that I wanted to try on this, and it theoretically could fit. It fit within this plate, or within this cut. But in order to line up the holes on the plate, it did not fit. And I know this is going to be very difficult to read. The camera quality is not fantastic. But you should be able to see the diagram here. So, the optics it will not take are the Trijicon RMR, the Sig Romeo, and the Delta Point Leupold Pro. Or Leupold Delta Point Pro. This can technically take them. The plate and the screws for the optic will line up and it will work, but you will not have any of the supporting feet to actually line up with the supports on the optic. So it's probably not going to be the most secure, might be doable. And then there's also the fitment issue. My RXS-100 just slightly overhung towards the back here, and so it conflicted with the rear sight, and even with the rear sight off, it was maybe 0.5 millimeter too long because of the rear sight wedge, so it just would not have fit otherwise. So you have to keep that in mind. The optics it absolutely 100% does support are the Burris Fast Fire, the Dr. Vortex Viper, Venom, EOTech MRDS, Shield RMS, and the J Point. So, have any of those, or want to use any of those, you're good. If you absolutely, for whatever reason, cannot live without your RMR or Leopolds or SIG sights, maybe a handgun just isn't for you, or you'd want to just stick with the iron sights, which in their own right are good enough. And one last thing that I forgot to mention, the pistol comes with a sight cover. Screws come off easily, they give you all the tools. It's actually a fairly large Allen wrench. However, at least mine was so perfectly fitted onto the slide that it could not come off. I could not get it off. There was not enough of a perch to slide it off. What I ended up having to do, thankfully I didn't damage the slide, there was a tiny bit of overhang from the grooves to the little piece that catches. I used a hammer and a very small, thin, flathead screwdriver and just hammered it out. Thankfully, it didn't damage it too much. I don't think it damaged it at all, but Yeah, it's not something you necessarily want to have to do, but that's what was done. So I will probably not post a video of me shooting it on here, but I will make a post on r/guns detailing how I thought it shot and some of the stuff that I've already gone over in this video. So I'll post it in the comments if you want to read that. That will be probably over the next few days. So there you go. VIS-100 M1. Thanks for watching.